June 18, 2025. Many missed the sun and moon sign, but the chosen must prepare. Something happened on June 18, 2025, but not everyone saw it. The sky spoke, the heavens aligned, and the Spirit whispered through the movements of the sun and moon. But as it often is with divine things, the masses looked up and saw nothing but light and shadow. They missed the meaning, they missed the message. The natural man sees an eclipse, a moonrise, or a shift in weather patterns, but the awakened, the chosen, feel the trembling of destiny in their bones. They know God doesn't send signs to impress, He sends signs to summon. While many were distracted, scrolling, doubting, or sleeping, a divine invitation went out, and only a few felt the shift in the spirit. Only a few knew this was not just a date on a calendar. It was a spiritual marking point, a call to prepare, not for disaster, but for destiny, not for fear, but for fulfillment. And if you are reading this, it means you are one of the few still sensitive to the unseen realm. The heavens moved, the timeline adjusted, and the future was whispered to the hearts of those who are called, not to survive, but to reign. This isn't a warning, it's a commissioning. Wake up, pay attention, prepare. The outer sign mirrors the inner awakening. They looked up on June 18, 2025, and they saw the skies change. The sun casting a strange glow, the moon subtly repositioned, as if heaven was arranging a divine theater before those who had the eyes to see. But what the world called a natural event, the chosen understood as a supernatural summons. This was not just astronomy, it was alignment, not just light and darkness, it was revelation. The sun is the symbol of divine authority, and the moon, the reflector of that light, represents the subconscious mind. Together they move in concert with the seasons of God's will. When these two celestial bodies align in rare patterns, something in the spiritual realm is shifting. But only the awakened know that external movements are reflections of inner truths. The carnal mind calls it coincidence, the rational mind explains it away with science, but the spiritual mind interprets it as instruction. Every outward sign is a mirror of what God is doing within you. When the sun and moon move in patterns unseen for decades, it is not to entertain, it is to awaken something dormant in the depths of your soul. On that day the Spirit moved over the surface of many hearts, whispering, "This is your time to rise," and yet most slept through it, not physical sleep, but spiritual apathy. They missed it because they were not trained to look inward. They searched the skies but forgot the sky lives within them. Those who do not understand that the world outside is a projection of the world within will always chase signs but miss signals. But the chosen have been groomed in silence. They've learned that imagination is not mere fantasy. It is the birthplace of creation. They know that when the sun burns a little brighter and the moon lingers longer in a strange hue, something is awakening in their inner world. They don't just ask, "What does this mean?" They declare, "Something is birthing through me." For them, signs do not trigger fear but faith. The alignment above signals the alignment within. God doesn't place signs in the sky to distract. He places them there to draw your attention back to the unseen dimension. Everything outside of you is a message, but you must be tuned into your inner life to interpret it rightly. If the sun represents divine will, and the moon mirrors your subconscious acceptance of that will, then this sign on June 18 meant the time for obedience has come. To understand what happened is to recognize that you are not merely observing life, you are participating in God's unfolding dream. You are the image bearer of the divine imagination, and that imagination operates by law. The law is simple, as within, so without. The moment you align your inner world with divine purpose, the outer world begins to mirror it. So when the cosmos moves, it is a reflection of the inner world of humanity, reaching a new level of divine orchestration. For the chosen, this means one thing: get in alignment. This is the time to strip away false images, to deny the illusions of fear and limitation, and to begin imagining only what is noble, pure, powerful, and God-ordained. The reason many miss the sign is because they've been living from the outside in constantly reacting, constantly looking for proof, constantly doubting their inner compass. But the chosen live from the inside out. They don't need confirmation. They are the confirmation. They carry the evidence of things not seen. They are the sign. June 18 wasn't just about the stars. It was about you. It was about your mind waking up to the fact that you are a co-creator with God, and your life is not governed by chance but by design. The message was clear to those attuned to spirit. Prepare your imagination, because the manifestation is near. You are not being warned of chaos. You are being reminded of covenant. God is not trying to scare you. He's preparing to launch you. But before any elevation, there must be revelation. And this sign, this divine celestial event, was your revelation that the time of hiding is over. It's time to align your thoughts with purpose, your desires with destiny, your beliefs with the blueprint God implanted in you before time began. The world will continue to miss these signs because they are looking for drama and disaster, but the chosen see design. They know every flicker of light has meaning. They know God speaks in pictures. They know heaven is not far away, it is within. So when heaven moves, they move. When the heavens declare, they listen. And when they are called to prepare, they do so, not by packing bags, but by purging disbelief, not by storing food, but by storing faith. The chosen don't run, they rise, they don't panic. They posture, and their posture is one of inner surrender to divine timing. The key to interpreting a divine sign is not intellect, it is intimacy. Those who walk closely with the Spirit don't need outside explanations, because the message is already echoing in their hearts. They feel the nudge, the inner urgency, the sacred push to get ready. June 18, 2025 was not about fear. It was about focus. It was about resetting your mind to the frequency of heaven. It was a reminder to stop watching the world and start watching your words, to stop following trends and start following truth, to stop waiting for approval and start acting like the anointed one you are. Every shift in heaven demands a shift on earth, and that shift begins in the mind of the chosen. You've seen enough signs, you've felt enough nudges, you've known all along that you were different. This was not just another cosmic event. It was a divine confirmation that your season has shifted. What you imagine now will become your reality. What you accept inwardly will manifest outwardly. The sun and moon obey laws you also carry. When they align, it is a metaphor that your spirit must align. When they shine in new configurations, it is a symbol that your imagination must create new configurations of faith. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are the change. You are not waiting for the promise to arrive. You are the place where the promise will be born. Now is the time to prepare, not by running, not by retreating, not by shrinking, but by remembering. Remember who you are. Remember what God whispered in the silence. Remember the dreams that refused to die. This is not the beginning of disaster. It is the beginning of divine deployment. The heavens have already confirmed it. The sun and moon have already bowed in agreement. Now your job is simple. Align your inner world with the vision you carry, because when your inner world reflects the divine will, your outer world cannot help but mirror the glory that lives within you. Missing the sign means missing the shift. There is a spiritual tragedy unfolding that most don't even recognize, and it's this: many have seen the sign, but they've missed the shift. June 18, 2025 was not just another date in the calendar. It was a spiritual intersection, a divine cue, a sacred whisper cloaked in cosmic motion. The sun and moon did not simply cross paths for no reason. They mirrored the shift of seasons in the spirit realm. Those who are blind to the higher laws of consciousness missed it entirely, not because the sign was hidden, but because their awareness was closed. God speaks to everyone, but only the awakened listen. The sign was loud for those who could hear in silence, bright for those who see with their inner eye, and powerful for those who walk by faith and not by sight. But most missed it because they were waiting for a dramatic announcement, a flashing billboard in the sky. They didn't realize that spiritual signals are often subtle, encoded in nature, veiled in symbolism. They were waiting for thunder, but God moved in stillness, and those who are too distracted by the noise of the world cannot hear the voice of destiny calling them forward. The shift has already occurred, and if you missed the sign, you might be living in a past season while God has already ushered in the next. Missing the sign isn't about failing to see the sky, it's about failing to perceive the instruction. The sun and moon are messengers. In spiritual terms, the sun represents conscious awareness, divine will, divine direction. The moon symbolizes the subconscious realm where all creation begins and all patterns of life are birthed. When these two celestial bodies align or shift positions in unusual ways, it represents something profound, a call for alignment between your conscious belief and your subconscious acceptance. Missing such a sign doesn't just mean you weren't watching the sky, it means you weren't watching yourself. And when you miss what heaven is saying, you delay the manifestation of what you were born to bring forth. The shift is not coming, it has come, but if your awareness isn't awake, you will still live as if it hasn't happened, and that is the greatest danger, to live in a day God has already moved past, to dwell in a mindset He's already upgraded, to cling to a story He's already rewritten. Spiritual seasons shift in silence, and when they do, those who are attuned in the spirit adjust quickly. They don't wait for confirmation from the crowd. They don't ask for consensus. They don't consult fear. They simply move. That's how you know someone is walking in divine timing. They obey unseen instruction without the need for external validation. The people who missed the sign are those who needed physical proof before moving, those who required natural logic before spiritual obedience, those who rely on senses instead of inner knowing. But those who are chosen don't need all the details. They just need the cue. The shift that happened on June 18 wasn't a signal for everyone. It was a summons for those marked by God. And when God sends a summons, the obedient don't debate. They respond. The world will never announce your shift. It won't congratulate your transition. It won't confirm your elevation, but the heavens will. The sign was not about the skies. It was about your next season. The sign was not given to impress. It was given to instruct. But many missed it because they were still watching life with carnal eyes. They saw a natural eclipse and thought it was just science. They saw a full moon and thought it was just weather. They failed to realize that God still uses creation to communicate with His own. When you miss the sign, you forfeit momentum. You stay behind spiritually, even while life moves on physically, and that's why so many feel stuck. They haven't aligned with the new instruction God released. They're praying for change while ignoring the door that already opened. They're waiting for confirmation when the heavens already gave it. The chosen understand something deeper. God speaks first to the imagination. The sign that appeared in the heavens was meant to awaken your inner ear, stir your spirit, and move your vision into focus. But if your imagination is cluttered with doubt, fear, and distraction, you will miss the most important messages of your life. The shift that occurred was spiritual first, and only those who had been trained to listen beyond logic were able to move with it. They sensed the new wind. They felt the pull to let go of the old. They began to feel restless, not because something was wrong, but because something had changed. Their inner man stood at attention. Their dreams reawakened. Their priorities shifted. That's what happens when you catch the sign. You begin living as if what God promised is already here. You don't wait for the world to give you permission. You know the divine clock has already struck now. Missing the sign means you will keep trying to fix what God has already replaced. You'll keep praying for what He's already prepared. If only you would move, it means you'll keep asking for revival when heaven is saying, walk in what I've already revived. The chosen don't beg for signs. They live as the sign. Their life becomes a living testimony of someone who saw what others missed, who moved when others hesitated, who believed when others mocked. That is what separates the many from the few. The many looked up and went back to sleep. The few looked inward and started to prepare. They knew that when heaven shifts, the earth follows, and if you are truly in tune with the Spirit, you felt the change on that day. You didn't need a prophecy. You were the fulfillment of prophecy. You didn't need a preacher to convince you. You felt the fire stirring deep within, telling you it's time. This shift is not optional. You are either moving with it or being moved by it. You either rise willingly or life will push you until you have no choice. And the pain that many are feeling right now is not punishment. It's the friction of resisting divine momentum. It's the cost of clinging to a season God has already ended. If you miss the sign, grace still calls you, but make no mistake, the shift will not wait. The longer you hesitate, the more momentum you lose, and heaven is not waiting for the unprepared. It is moving with the willing. It is opening doors for those who heard the signal and responded with faith. So if you miss the sign, don't miss the next step. Recalibrate your attention, reset your inner focus, go back to the place of silence and listen again. The sign may have passed, but the voice behind it is still speaking. Align now, move now, prepare now, because those who missed the sign may still recover. but they must be willing to obey without delay. The chosen are not special because they are better, they are simply more aware, they are more obedient, and they are more surrendered to timing. The difference between missing the sign and mastering the shift is this. Sensitivity, those who are sensitive to the Spirit don't need to be convinced. They just move, they prepare, they respond, they obey, and because of that, they rise. Preparation is an inner transformation, not outer panic. The moment the heavens shifted on June 18, 2025, the earth responded. Not in the natural sense first, but in the spiritual realm. The call went out not to run, not to fear, but to prepare. And yet, what most fail to grasp is that true preparation is not external, it is internal. The world teaches you that to be ready you must gather, build, store, hustle, and plan endlessly, but God prepares his chosen ones in silence, in solitude, in stillness. The panic you see in the world is the result of people trying to fix an outer world that reflects their chaotic inner state. But you, if you are truly called, must understand that God doesn't ask you to react. He calls you to transform. You are not preparing for disaster. You are preparing for destiny. There is a difference between fear-based activity and faith-based alignment. Many are packing for an emergency. The chosen are packing light to travel the narrow road of obedience. What God is calling you to carry into this next season isn't stored in boxes or bank accounts. It's buried in your imagination, in your heart, and in your willingness to surrender. True preparation is the alignment of the soul with the divine plan. When you become who he called you to be on the inside, the outside must adjust. Reflect that change. Most people miss divine preparation because it doesn't look impressive. It looks like letting go. It looks like pruning. It looks like isolation. It looks like being misunderstood. It looks like saying no to opportunities that don't match your purpose. While the world runs to store up grain, the chosen store up vision. While the crowd searches for safety, the chosen search for alignment. The world prepares through anxiety, the chosen prepare through revelation. Preparation for what's coming requires that you allow God to tear down every false belief system inside of you that cannot survive in your next season. It requires unlearning everything fear has taught you. It demands that you turn your attention inward and ask, do I believe the promise? Because what's about to happen in your life will not be based on your effort, but on your inner expectancy. The shift that occurred was God's cue, not to brace for impact, but to open wide in faith. He is not building warriors who fight with panic. He is building kings and queens who reign with peace. There is no outer action that can substitute for inner belief. You can do all the right things, pray, fast, speak declarations, but if your heart still imagines defeat, you will miss your moment. That is why preparation is so personal. No one can do it for you. It is not about joining movements or following trends. It is about surrendering your inner life to divine reshaping. When the sign came, it was a cosmic invitation to let go of the old version of yourself, to stop clinging to identities built on survival and begin embracing your true image, formed by God, sustained by faith and driven by purpose. You are not here to mimic others' preparation. You are here to prepare in the way only your soul understands, and for many of you that means silence, that means the stripping of pride, that means the death of self, image, ego, and ambition so that something real can live. The panic you see in the world is the counterfeit of prophetic urgency. The world tries to prepare through control, manipulation, and overplanning because it cannot trust what it cannot predict. But those who walk with God understand something deeper. Preparation is about letting go of control. You prepare by trusting. You prepare by obeying small instructions. You prepare by healing the inner fractures that keep you bound to fear. God is not looking for busybodies. He's looking for aligned hearts. The people who will thrive in what's coming are not the most informed, but most transformed. They have done the deep work. They have walked through fire and come out refined. They have laid down their idols and picked up their identity. They do not fear the storm because they have become the storm's master within. Their soul is anchored. Their vision is clear, and because of that they are ready, not because they have everything, but because they believe. Many of you are waiting for your circumstances to line up before you step out. But the preparation God is asking for requires movement in the absence of proof. He is asking you to move like it's already done. To walk like the promise is already fulfilled. That's the kind of preparation that shifts timelines. That's the kind of obedience that attracts favor. You're not preparing for if, You're preparing for when? You're preparing because in the Spirit it has already happened. The heavens only confirm what was written before the foundations of the world. So stop trying to get ready in the way the world teaches. Start embodying readiness. Start thinking from the vision. Start speaking from the outcome. Start living as if it's already true. That is how you prepare in the kingdom. You become the thing you're waiting for. This preparation will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you relationships built on old identities. It will cost you opportunities that feed your ego but starve your calling. But what you gain will far outweigh the loss. You will gain peace that doesn't make sense. You will gain confidence rooted in spirit, not performance. You will gain clarity about who you are and why you're here. That is what true preparation brings, not safety, but certainty, not perfection, but presence. When you are prepared internally, you no longer need to rush externally. You walk with assurance. You talk with conviction. You move like someone who knows what time it is in heaven, because the ones who are chosen are never frantic. They are focused. They are not loud. They are led, and they know that the shaking in the world is only confirmation that God's hand is moving, making room for the prepared to rise. So what must you do now? Still yourself, listen again. What did the sign on June 18 stir in your spirit? What did it whisper to your imagination? What are you being called to release? Who are you being asked to become? Your next step isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more still so you can see more clearly. You are not late, you are not behind, but you are being summoned to prepare the one place that truly matters, your inner temple, because when God moves, he moves through those who are prepared not in body, but in belief. And if you get your inner world in order, the outer world cannot stop the blessing that's already been assigned to you. Preparation is not a plan, it is a posture of surrender, a posture of trust, a posture of inner fire that refuses to be dimmed. When the sun and moon moved in the heavens, it wasn't a cosmic performance, it was a spiritual message. Get ready, my chosen. I'm about to fulfill what I've promised, and to be ready for that fulfillment, you don't need more effort. You need more faith, more alignment, more inner stillness, because God is not coming to reward the panicked. He is coming to lift the prepared. Chosen one, you are being separated for divine assignment. There comes a moment in the life of every chosen one when the separation begins, not because you are better, but because you are different. This is not a difference the world understands or celebrates. It is a difference the world often rejects, but heaven recognizes it, honors it, and calls it holy. The separation that has begun in this season is not a punishment. It is a positioning. God is pulling you away from people, places, patterns, and even versions of yourself that cannot go where he is sending you. June 18, 2025 marked a spiritual threshold, a cosmic sign for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. The time for mingling with the multitude is over. The time for hiding behind sameness is over. You are not like them, and you were never meant to be. You have been called apart, not for isolation, but for preparation, not to be lonely, but to be refined. And until you learn to embrace this sacred separation, you will continue to delay your elevation. The chosen are always pulled away before they are sent forward. This is not rejection, it is divine redirection. Most people don't understand that before God reveals you, he conceals you. He separates you to sanctify you, to cleanse your soul from the noise of culture, the distractions of opinion, and the counterfeit identities you picked up just to survive. He begins to isolate your life, not to harm you, but to heal you. You start to feel invisible, not because you are unworthy, but because heaven is recalibrating your worth from man's applause to God's voice. You feel distant from people you once laughed with, disconnected from environments you used to thrive in, uninterested in conversations that once stirred your excitement. Why? Because your spirit has shifted, because the oil on your life is awakening, because the version of you that once blended in has died, and now a new version is being formed in silence, in obedience, in faith. This is the mystery of separation. It feels like you're losing everything, but in truth you are finally gaining you. The people who once surrounded you. You might not understand the new version God is birthing. Let them go. They might say you've changed. Let them speak. They might distance themselves. Let them walk. What God is doing in you now is not for everyone to see. It is sacred. It is hidden. It is anointed. You are being refined like gold in fire, not because you were impure, but because you are destined to carry something so weighty that the old you could not hold it. The mantle God is preparing for your life requires a level of consecration, clarity, and courage that only separation can produce. You cannot birth something divine while still entangled in distractions. You cannot receive heavenly instruction while your heart is tied to earthly attachments. This is why he separates you, so that you can hear him clearly, love him deeply, and follow him fully. Chosen one, you were never created to be common. Your journey was never meant to mirror the crowd. You are not random, you are marked. That is why you can't find peace in shallow places anymore. That is why familiar paths suddenly feel foreign. That is why you sense the urgency to pull back, to go deeper, to shed every layer that doesn't reflect who God has declared you to be. This is the evidence of your calling, the discomfort, the disconnection, the divine dissatisfaction. It's not depression, it's not confusion, it's separation, and it is holy. During this season, God is teaching you to rely solely on him, not on platforms, not on people, not even on your own plans. He is breaking your dependence on everything that distracted you from his voice. The more you resist this process, the more painful it becomes. But the moment you surrender, fully, freely, you will begin to see that the separation was not rejection, it was rescue. He rescued you from small thinking, from false relationships, from cycles of delay, from counterfeit comfort, from your own unbelief, because he loves you too much to let you settle where you don't belong. This separation is not a setback, it is a setup. God is making space around you so that he can pour into you without interference. He is clearing the stage so that when he reveals you, there will be no confusion about who gets the glory. You will not rise by association, you will rise by appointment, and those who counted you out, those who walked away, those who questioned your silence, will soon witness what happens when someone chooses to walk alone with God rather than compromise to fit in with the world. You are not being punished, you are being purified, you are not being abandoned, you are being advanced. And though this path feels narrow, it is filled with divine favor for those willing to walk it in faith. Embrace the stillness, embrace the silence, because in this separation, God is downloading the next chapter. You are not missing out, you are being moved up. Everyone can see the sign in the sky, but only the chosen will understand the separation happening in the spirit. Don't go back to what you've outgrown. Don't apologize for your awakening. Don't water down your anointing just to remain relatable. The chosen don't shrink to be accepted. They rise to be appointed. And now God is setting you apart. Not later, not someday. Now the shift has begun. The veil has lifted. You must prepare to walk in places your former self would have disqualified. This is why the pruning has been so painful. This is why the warfare has intensified, because the enemy sees the oil. The darkness sees the light forming within you, and it fears what you will become once you fully embrace this separation. But remember, you are not alone, you are not forgotten. Heaven is watching, the angels are surrounding, God is guiding, and your destiny is unfolding, even in the silence, even in the shadows, even in the wilderness. This hidden season is your proving ground, and if you remain faithful here, the revealing will be unstoppable. Chosen one, be still, be faithful, be aware. You are being separated, yes, but not from life. You are being separated for life, for purpose, for divine release. Let the pruning continue. Let the shifting finish its work. Because what God is doing in you now will not only change your life, it will change generations. Your separation is not your end. It is the beginning of your sending. So prepare your heart, cleanse your mind, anchor your soul. Because soon the same God who pulled you into obscurity will call your name in front of nations. And when he does, you will be ready, not because you tried to stand out, but because you obeyed when he called you out. Those who ignored the sign will be shaken, but the chosen will rise in power. There is a sacred trembling taking place in the unseen realm, and soon it will manifest before the eyes of the world. June 18, 2025 was not just a shift in the stars or a poetic alignment in the sky. It was a divine warning, a spiritual announcement, and a call to attention. Yet many ignored it. Many dismissed the moment as mere coincidence or cosmic drama. But the heavens do not speak without consequence. Those who fail to recognize the significance of that celestial sign will soon find themselves in a storm of confusion, delay, and divine shaking. Not because God desires destruction, but because he must awaken what has been asleep. And when awakening comes, it never comes gently. Those who were careless with time, casual with their callings, and numb to the divine rhythm, the days ahead will be unsettling. But for the chosen, those who saw, who heard, who shifted, the shaking will not break them. It will elevate them. It will reveal their authority. It will unveil the power they have been cultivating in secret. The same event that will disorient the many will launch the few. God does not send signs to impress the curious. He sends them to prepare the serious. Those who shrugged off the June sign have unknowingly entered a cycle of spiritual exposure. Every hidden idol, every false security, every shallow root will be tested. God is about to reveal who was truly listening, who was truly surrendered, who was truly walking by faith and not by sight. The shaking that is coming is not about physical destruction. It is about the collapse of the false identities. False ministries, false alignments, false strength. All of it will be torn down, not by human hands, but by the weight of divine justice. What has been tolerated in silence will now be addressed in power, and the ones who were faithful in the background, those who did not miss the sign, will emerge with clarity, dominion, and divine backing. To the chosen ones, this is your hour. The world will call it crisis, but for you it is confirmation. What looked like delay was actually preparation. What felt like obscurity was actually consecration. You are not rising because you forced your way into the spotlight. You are rising because heaven has spoken your name. This is the reversal season where the last will become first, where those who were ignored will now be elevated, where those who were mocked for their obedience will now be honored for their endurance. You didn't chase platforms, built altars. You didn't seek validation. You sought revelation, and now God is about to reward what you built in silence. You will notice people begin to scramble. You will see systems crumble. What was once stable will now appear shaky. Why? Because the world is being reminded that its strength is an illusion. The empires built on pride are being confronted by truth, and truth, though resisted, cannot be denied. It is into this chaos that the chosen will walk, not with fear, but with fire. You will not be confused when others are panicking because you already heard the word in advance. You will not be shaken when others collapse because your foundation was never man, it was the Spirit. The power that is about to rest upon the chosen will not be carnal, it will not be performative, it will be supernatural. You will speak and things will shift. You will pray and chains will break. You will declare and doors will open, not because of who you are, but because of who you believed. Do not apologize for the favor that is about to flood your life. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not hesitate to walk in the fullness of your authority. You were not preserved through the wilderness to arrive in the promised land timid. You were not refined in secret to step out half-hearted. You were kept, shielded, and strengthened for this. The ones who overlooked you will wonder how you rose so quickly. But the truth is, you did not rise quickly. You rose quietly. The roots were growing deep while they weren't watching, and now the tree must bear fruit. The anointing must speak. The power must manifest. This is your time, not because you demanded it, but because you were destined for it. And let this be known, the shaking is not coming to destroy, but to distinguish. It is heaven's way of dividing the true from the false. The fire is not to harm you, but to prove you. You will be a beacon for those drowning in confusion. You will be a shelter for those displaced by the storm. But this will not happen unless you own who you are. You cannot play small in a season of global transformation. You must rise, not in ego, but in divine boldness, not in ambition, but in anointing. God is not looking for entertainers. He is releasing evidence, bearers, people whose lives scream of His glory, people whose peace contradicts the panic, people whose vision pierces through the fog of fear. That's you, chosen one. To those who missed the sign, there is still mercy, but it will require humility. It will demand repentance. It will take surrender, because what's coming cannot be navigated with intellect or effort. It requires alignment, and if they do not align, they will be swept away by the momentum of what's unfolding. But for you who aligned early, who recognized the sign in the skies as a divine marker, you will ride the wave instead of being drowned by it. God always makes a distinction between the prepared and the passive, and now the time has come to see that distinction made visible. The voice of the Spirit is saying clearly, do not fear what they fear, do not run where they run, do not lose your fire to blend in with their ashes. You are not called to react, you are called to reveal the kingdom, reveal the light, reveal the truth. You are the sign now. What they missed in the sky, they will now see in your life. Your obedience will speak louder than theirs. opinions. Your stability will challenge their fear, your faith will offend their logic, but stay focused. This is not the time to debate, this is the time to demonstrate. Demonstrate what it looks like to be truly led by the Spirit, to walk with God in the midst of shaking, to rise while others fall, not by might nor by power, but by the Spirit of the living God. You are not ordinary, you are not random, you are chosen, and while others missed the message, you became the messenger. While others ran in fear, you were being filled with fire. While others looked to the sky, you looked within and found the voice of destiny calling you forward. So rise now, take your place. The world is about to witness what happens when someone doesn't just see the sign, but becomes the sign. The time of preparation is over, the time of performance is done, the time of manifestation has come, and the chosen will rise, not in competition, but in confirmation, not to impress, but to impact, because God is about to release glory, not just on the church, but through the ones who believed him when no one else did, and that chosen one is you.